this is what they did in those days. This is what they did in those places.
Jack, in your book, The Evolution of an Entrepreneur, which is awesome, by the way, it is fun to read, filled with great altruisms and principles and things you've learned through a life of 70 years of entrepreneurship. But you say here that you write in your book, really understanding a problem can be complicated and difficult. It often involves talking to multiple people and digging into the numbers. This kind of deep understanding is crucial to solving issues. You can't design a solution for something you don't understand. Jack, kind of unpack this for us. When you say that, what does this mean here, this understanding the problem?
Well, most people don't understand what the real problems are.
Okay.
There's a problem like my problem I spoke about in Italy. I didn't understand what that problem was. Understanding what the problem is, it can come from a number of places. It can come in your factory. I found I was getting very poor production for a while out of the French factory. And I came and stayed there for a couple of months myself and ran the company and found out there were too many hidden cubicles. There were walls and places where things were being done. So I just opened up the whole factory.
There you go.
So everybody could see what everybody else was doing, and it solved the problem. It solved the problem.
You love the floor plan of our new Thrive studios. That's what we have. It's open everywhere. Everything is open. Why was it such a time killer when the cubicles were hidden?
Well, this is what they did in those days. This is what they did in those places, and I saw no reason to keep it going that way, and I had the advantage of the point of view, and I saw what was going on in the factory, and if a certain area wasn't producing right, it was there. It was there. It's worthwhile. That's a simple reason. There's certainly more complex reasons that business doesn't go in a certain place. Maybe the competition in that area is too fierce to break in a new line.
Well, you wrote in your book, you said that you acquired an advertising agency headquartered in New York City, which was part of this leveraged buyout. And one of the reasons it was losing money was its executive expense accounts. The executive lunch meeting started with 3 martinis.
It was, and it did, and it aggravated me for a while. And I spoke for hours with the president of the company. And then I realized something, it hit me. There was no way I can police it, and there was no way I could get discipline in there. And the best way was to get rid of it, which I did.
Okay. So, but again, you had to fully understand the problem before you could solve it. You had to, in one case, go to the factory for 2 months and figure out the problems and solve it. The other time, you had to go look at the business that you purchased in this leveraged buyout and discover how the expense accounts were much larger than they should have been. But these required kind of boots on the ground, getting into the weeds, getting into the details, kind of that deep dive, right?
Yes.
So if you're watching this, an action item is if you have a problem in your company in accounting or sales or something, sometimes you just got to clear off your schedule, block it out, and just get into the weeds.
You've got to go through the hardship. You've got to go, as you said, through the weeds, and you've got to find out what's holding the business. And somehow or other, it only gets done by your own personal inspection. Usually, someone has a reason to keep it that way. A department they want to work in that should be open, a kind of merchandise that they want to sell that we don't want to sell. So it has to be that's what running a company is about. Not going through and say how are your wife and kids.
Yeah.
But it's, hey, here on this report, I got this is happening. Why is that happening? What is the problem here?
Really deep diving in.
Boom. So you've just got to keep diving in. That's the only way you find out.
Jack, I appreciate you sharing because, again, in your 7 decades as an entrepreneur, I mean, you've seen the same problems over and over. I mean, technology might change and the world might change, but some of these principles are timeless. They just keep, decade after decade as the world changed and you've got into different businesses, you saw the same problems over and over and over. And it seems like you've kind of come up with a way to, if you have a problem and you want to solve it, just dive right in, find out the root of the problem, look at the fruit, but get down to the root.
Get to the basic right away. Get to the tough part.